Hi everyone on YouTube, this is Nayan making a second one of my live Come Alive YouTube stream. I am doing my favorite ritual, like everybody else, enjoying some iced tea. And here's Besitos, my distraction. Inside you go, you're not going out again. Sorry about our distraction, Besitos, interrupting us every 5 minutes. That's okay. You got to look at the good side and everything. She helps me practice not being distracted. So yes, I'm fixing my bandeau so that I look like I have some hair on my head. Teach me a lesson, right? For clipping off all of my hair. I would say at this point I've mastered the clippers. So yeah, I'm gonna grow out my hair. I miss wearing barrettes, wearing ponytails, being a girl. So anyways, I was saying practice being focused. Decito's gonna challenge that. I'm enjoying everyone's favorite, just brewing tea. Cito, don't start interrupting my video every 5 minutes. I'm gonna spray you. Go to sleep. Go to sleep, mommy. Okay? She knows what the water bottle means. Calm down. Go to sleep. If I don't reprimand her, she will ask every minute for something. How I know? Because I've had other pets that do that. It's part of their way of saying, I know you love me. Right? So I'm going to ask every 5 minutes for something just to test that love. So yes, I am brewing tea. Okay? Cito, don't start. So a lot of times this is echinacea. So this is good for your immune. Okay? And honestly, I can't stand any tea, coffee without sugar because it's too bitter. But this is echinacea. So I put in 1 stevia. I used to do 2 for my teas, 3 for coffee, to kind of help regulate my sugar. But recently my sugar level spiked, so I'm backing off. So I do like 2 for coffee and 1 for tea. And I take metformin, right? Because I was talking with a girl at Echo Town, and Cito, stop making that noise every 5 minutes. She literally had to wear a machine, and that's something. If you're onset diabetic, that means you absolutely cannot control your diet, right? But I tell everybody, don't beat yourself up. It's hard to make a choice when it comes to diet when all the choices we're given is bad. There's so many drinks out there. Now, take for example everybody's favorite grocery store, Vons. So many drinks out there is overloaded with sugar, right? Cereals, desserts, overloaded with sugar. Everything, even bread. The culprit is sugar. And, that's something a lot of people don't understand. that the culprit is sugar, not fat. You don't become fat from fat because there's actually good fat and bad. It's sugar. Is that my connection is unstable. This happens because the traffic for AT&T is high in this area. So the best way to understand it is The Biggest Loser book that I read and program. Right, it's a great program. They gave an analogy that just one can of soda, right? Any flavor is equivalent to 4 slices of white bread. So that explains why people, they're the types that go to the gym and they say, I never see any changes to my body. Well, now you know why. Because all your work to burn off those unwanted calories, you go drink a can of soda and put it back on. So you teeter-totter nowhere, right? So I love this. Just brewing some tea. It's so good. Whether it's hot, cold, steeped out in the sun. I just drop in a tea bag and just let the color change. Keep it simple. A simple life puts a smile on my face. So this has one stevia in it. Honestly, the reason why I put 2, which I'm going to do, is because the sugar brings out the flavor of the tea. It's not that I'm addicted to sugar. I think sugar, right, amps up so that's what I'm going to do. I'll be right back. So a 2 to 3 pack is good enough for me. And this is stevia. Just remind me, guys. That's a lot better. This is actually delicious. The echinacea with the stevia, it's just absolutely refreshing. A simple refreshment. Refreshing. And that's one way to keep from being sick. Being stress-free and drinking a lot of fluids, folks, right? You think about when you get sick or your animal gets sick, right? IV, fluid. So anyways, I normally do 1 video per day, but I came back on because there's more I want to say. And I want to share with everyone. And I know the Creator Academy, however way you do 1, 2, or 3 streams in a day or more, the Creator Academy suggests you to break it up, right? Because research has proven that people can only keep an attention span of about 15 minutes, all right? So you think in terms of 4 quadrants in an hour. So while you're doing an hour video, give people, little breaks, 4-hour intervals of breaks, right? Just like in school. And then break those hours up, right? That works best for your schedule and others. Mine has been random, but I figured, like, a 9 to 5 job. I tried to sleep like at 9 at night and wake up at 5 in the morning. So usually about that time, I told myself that's a good time to do a live stream because, it's on schedule and it might help people go on with their day, right? A live stream. So we're going to bring up topics that enlivens, right, other people's lives. So I jumped back on because I found something that I wanted to share with everyone that I feel correlates with my last video. All right. So essentially I Googled, I wrote, of course, a 5-star for the Orange County Sheriff Department. And I gave my reasons why. A long time ago, the Sheriff Department helped me with a stalking case. There was a lot of people that helped me with the stalking case, but the Orange County Sheriff played the biggest part in that they served a subpoena to the stalker. And for the records, his name is James Martin, Caucasian, ex-Marine. I believe I was 18 or younger at the time, and he was older than me. Okay, maybe in his 40s, 50. So they helped in serving the subpoena. In searching for him, in serving the subpoena. And if for whatever reason the victim is scared in some cases, the victim has to subpoena the other parties themselves, right? But the sheriff actually helped in that process. And just the presence of the sheriff, I'll hashtag this Orange County Sheriff and their leader, Sheriff Barnes, just their mere presence made me and everybody feel safer. And to feel safe is a very precious commodity that law enforcement provides for the public that I think we overlook unless we're caught up in a very dangerous situation. We don't value that. And yes, maybe law enforcement has their rough edges. It comes with the territory, their job. But the sheriff has pretty much an untarnished reputation, and their badge is very respectable. You notice that the men of the sheriff's department, right, are usually a lot stronger than like Santa Ana PD, right? Because I would have to say the sheriff, from what I learned in school and what is true, they have more jurisdiction than the police, right? The police in Santa Ana just handle Santa Ana. Whereas Orange County Sheriff, they could cross cities. See, they have more jurisdiction. and mostly in the rural areas, like away from the cities. So although the police might have more, the sheriff is takes precedent over the police. In other words, the police has to answer to them. All right, they have higher ranking, and it shows. Most of the men in the sheriff department, uh, from my observation, they're a lot bigger and stronger for the reason that I think they handle more severe cases, right? So that's one way they helped me. Another way was, and I'll keep this video to an hour because I'm getting sleepy and I want everybody to go to sleep. But this is important because I don't want anybody to be scared of stalkers and violent sex crime, right? The second way they helped me was when the case was actually at Westminster courts in California. The bailiff was present to handcuff the stalker by his hands to the chair and his feet, right? That's another way they could help me. And another, of course, is that when this stalker, James Martin, was in the Women and Men's Central Jail in Santa Ana, the sheriff, right? Although they work with the city of Santa Ana correctional officers, it's mainly the sheriff, right? So I'm going to read this article that I pulled up. I haven't even scrutinized it, but I think there's a strong correlation. I was just wondering if, they still had on records my case in Westminster. So all I did was put James Martin, stalker, right? Orange County Sheriff, right? Or I even went and looked in Westminster courts. But I went on some site that they wanted $1. So I said, you know what? I don't need that. I'll just read what is under the sheriff about this guy. So keep in mind the way Google works is that usually the articles that are paid the most, right, are paid to be at the top. Okay, it's not that it is most recent or most relevant or factual. But I did find an article that was kind of wedged in between Orange County Sheriff and other things about stalking with James Martin as a name that kept on reoccurring. So I'm going to read the article and see if it correlates to the guy that actually stalked me. And usually my sixth sense are pretty right on. Okay, so let's read the article together. My case initially happened in Garden Grove, California. And I will try to fill in the details as I read. This happened in the state of Minnesota. Okay, I will fill in the details, but I want people to respect me as a victim, in that if I leave out certain things, there's a reason, okay? State of Minnesota in courts of appeal, and they gave some numbers, in the matter of the civil commitment of James Allen Martin. Okay, I know my stalker's name is James Martin, and I don't know if Allen is his middle name, but I could tell you this case, this name keeps on popping up. So I'm pretty sure it's him. Filed May 20th, 2003. Okay. And let me do my math and see how many years ago was that. So now we're in the year 2021 minus year 2003. It was 18 years ago. And now I'm 50. So if I did the math, I would have been 32. Reverse and reprimanded Harton is the judge. Anoka County District Court filed, I'm going to give a number. Robert M.A. Johnson, Anoka County Attorney. John L. Kirkland, Special Assistant County Attorney. In Hennepin County, Governor Center. The address, which I'm not going to tell because I know there's violence and retaliation at courts, right? And so I reserve that right to protect the courts and names and the judge. There is Ronald L. Greenlee and Nicole Greenlee, LTD, Assistant, Anoka County Public Defender, Anoka Professional Building. I'm not going to tell that. Considered and decided by Hal Brooks, President, Presiding Judge, Harton Judge, and Stoneburner. Syllabus. And I copied this on my Google Docs to my school and shared it with Orange County Sheriff Barnes because that's how much I respect and trust Orange County Sheriff Barnes as the leader of their department. Okay. Despite anything said against him, right? Because, lies are everywhere. We don't have to believe them. So syllabus 1, conducted by an individual with a history of sexual obsession that includes staring at a person, asking personal questions of that person, okay? And while I ask this for all you women and men out there, do you not meet individuals like that in real life that does that? And you kind of think it's strange? Well, according to this court case, it's beyond strange. It is a form of stalking. So let me back up and read again so you guys can see the warning sign, right? Staring at a person, asking personal questions of that person, following that person, and telling third parties of sexual attraction to the person. Okay? And that can include somebody encouraging somebody to stalk. The reason why I say that is because I'm trying to expose all the unhealthy forms of sex out there. I had an older Jewish friend, Judith Hunt, and she, at the time, she had a lover, I think in Canada, and she no longer wanted her husband that she has a son with for this other man in Canada who ended up passing away. And just to show you how disturbed she is, you have to look at her background. She was caught up in a religious occult and was raped, right? And aborted her baby. And then she wanted to be with another man, right? While she's still married with this Brian Hunt. He ended up dying. She contacted me on Facebook and blamed his death on me. I just blocked her. You know, with individuals like this that are obviously insane in their allegations, just block them. She was saying that he died because of me and that it was my fault, and that I knew they had relationship problems, which is their personal problems, not mine, right? And that's why I say remind yourself that we are all on social media, but we're not social workers. We other people's problems, we have no obligation to solve them, financial, emotional, any which way. So she said that I knew about their relationship struggles and they were close to getting together. And all this time she was sharing an apartment with her husband. And I did not do anything about it. That's right. I don't have to. I'm not her social worker. I'm not anybody's social worker on social media. So I just blocked her. But she, at the time, tried to encourage her husband to have, to set, it says, what is it? Telling third parties of sexual attraction to a person, right? In other words, you're unaware or not consenting to it. And this is what Judith Hunt did. I met her husband at the Mall of Orange. And I think I was trying out a legging, and I was putting on backwards. And he was waiting for the bus, and somehow he knew my name. And I was like, how do you know my name? And he said, oh, my wife, Judith Hunt. And then he went on to tell me that Judith tried to set me and him up without any of my knowledge or consent, and I have absolutely no desire for her husband. Okay. So they're telling other people. Okay, now the thing is, instead of telling you, they're telling other people. That you should see that as a warning sign. And a person and intent to marry. Now I have to say something about that, okay? Marriage is a big thing, right? It's joint accounts, children's, right? You don't just meet somebody and just want to marry them. Okay? Or to kill the person. Okay, I want to make this very clear, and I'm even going to lean forward to say this. I don't know about you guys, but I've had a lot of men in my lifetime, and women, where their stance is, right, fuck me, right, or fuck you, right? And this is why I want to expose these kind of individuals on this video and how dangerous it could be. Okay? So they go from white, they want to marry them, to kill them, like fatal attraction. These are warning signs that you shouldn't ignore. Okay? It is conducted, motivated by sexual impulses and harmful sexual conduct. So in other words, they do not care about you or me or anything else. It's just sex, uncontrollable sexual impulses. And according to this article, they're going to bring up the word narcissism. Okay? So in other words, it has nothing to do with you. Just because somebody says they want to have sex, they never mention you in it. Right? Time for us to grow up and even teach children that. With the meaning of Minnesota, okay, and there's a code. 2, evidence of possible cause of serious emotional harm does not compel a finding. Presumptions of a substantial likelihood that a victim of stalking, harassment will suffer serious or emotional harm is rebuted. Okay, rebuted means argued against in this case. 3, evidence of an individual's repeated failure to control sexual behavior. Right? Remember what I told you in my lifetime, in my personal experience? I've come to realize sick people show 2 signs. The inability to stop, and they do the same thing. And this is, the courts is saying so many words. Failure to control. Can't stop, do the same thing. Failure to control. Sexual behavior, combined with expert testimony that the individual is unable to adequately control sexual impulse and behavior, is clear and convincing evidence that the individual cannot adequately control impulse and behavior. And it has like Minnesota statute, okay, is not unconstitutional as applied to an individual with a history of uncontrolled sexual impulse and behavior. Opinion. Hart and Judge. I was going to say, you know, sometimes, especially in my lifetime, I always wonder why I was stalked and stuff. And if my case serves so that I can speak today and help other women and men, children, even animals in this issue, not be scared of sex crime and sexual violence, then I understand. Right? More so why it happened to me. Okay. Opinion. Hart and Judge Appellate Anoke County challenges the district's court's denial of petition to have respondent James Martin committed as a sexually dangerous person. Respondent argues that the sexually dangerous person statute is unconstitutional as it applies to him. Because we conclude that the statute is constitutional as applied to respondent, but that the district court erred in finding that respondent's act did not constitute harmful conduct, and there was not clear and convincing evidence that respondent has an inability to adequately control his sexual behavior. We reverse and reprimand. We reverse and remain. Facts. Respondent James Martin is now 34. I'm trying to do my math here. This probably isn't my stalker because when I met my stalker, I was very young. And he looked like he was in his 40s or 50s. And I was probably 17. So this is probably not him, but I'm going to use this person to talk about stalking, right? He is now 34 and has a history of sexual behavior issues that began in early 1991 when respondent was a senior in college. At that time, the respondent was living in a dormitory with a roommate. Respondent was depressed, his grades had deteriorated. And this is something I'm learning right now in my psychology class, to pay close attention to the narration as it, deemed fit to the DSM-5, right? Depressed. His grades had deteriorated. That has nothing to do with DSM-5, right, folks? He was feeling less motivated, gained weight, and had occasionally had thoughts of suicide. Now that is, right? Respondent learned that from a friend's dormitory room window, he would watch JV, a female student, undress and walk around in her dormitory room. Respondent watched JV twice, and he began masturbating when fantasizing that JV was an exhibitionist and that she acted as she did because she wanted a boyfriend. So here you go, clearly the perpetrator sees sex into it, but the victim doesn't. Okay, and right there is a constitutes a sex crime. Although he had not mentioned JV, the respondent telephoned her, told her that he liked her and had seen her unclothed, and asked her for a date. JV refused. Her refusal made the respondent angry because he attributed it to his weight gain. Makes absolutely no sense, right, folks? Respondent's anger towards JV developed into hatred. So now love making, by two consensual people like me and my boyfriend, right? It's based on love, right? Where sex crime is based on hate, anger, animosity, dominance, right? Maybe modus operandi of power, dominance, money, right? He persuaded his roommate to invite JV to their dorm room, where the respondent confronted her with disparaging remarks and racial slurs. In response, JV slapped the respondent across the face and left. Respondent had secretly taped this incident, labeling the tape "Revenge on JV." Immediately after the incident, respondent felt victorious, but the following day he became more depressed and angry with JV. He started blaming JV for everything, not just him being overweight, right? And that's the scapegoat for a lot of individuals who have issues. And saying I have a lot of issues and I got a lot of work to work on, it's put the issue on you. Is a good scapegoat. Their issues is now your issues, right? You know what? Put it back in their laps. That went wrong and began thinking of ways to kill her. In summer 1991, respondent learned where JV lived and her family, and she worked at a bar. Respondent went to the bar and approached JV in the parking lot. JV appeared uncomfortable. I would too, if somebody was trying to kill you, and told the respondent to stay away from her. Right? But for all you women out there and men, and even if it is cross paths to teaching children, tell them you're going to contact the police. After that encounter, the respondent's anger towards JV intensified. In July 1991, respondent broke into JV's family house when no one was home. That's why it's good to have a buddy system, neighborhood watch. I saw something on Facebook that was very nice. It was unbreakable, like unpliable, kind of like window shields that you put outside your bedroom. It's not like steel bars, but they're made with special materials where they can't, they can't smash it, they can't pry it open, right? They can't get in, but you can get out in case of fire. Those are good investing in. He walked around the house, found JV's bedroom, and sat on her bed with a .38 caliber pistol waiting for her to return. JV did not return, and after about 90 minutes, the respondent left. In August 1991, respondent again visited. I was going to say recently, in my last video, I mentioned about Daniel Herrera, right? But I ended up blocking my other friend, CJ, too, because he was starting to have kind of ideations like this, where he was saying, I think about you all the time. And, he would call me and said, I don't mind traveling all the way out here to see you. And he was mentioning how he was going to fix his teeth because, he was giving an example where if he was kissing me, right, and his teeth fell out. Women, when men start sexualizing things like that, when you have no interests, the best thing to do is just to politely tell them you're not interested, right? But do you see where it becomes a problem, right? Where essentially somebody's not interested sexually in somebody, but the other person is. And, they're fantasizing that they're when you're not there, right? And I think a lot of us women and men, that goes on a lot more than we realize. There was even something disgusting where a lot of homeless men watch really sexually inappropriate stuff in public libraries around children, right? In other words, keep your eyes and ears open for these kind of warning signs. And nip it in the butt, right? Make it very clear that you're not interested. No, you have set down the law. And if somebody continues to push sex on you, emotionally, physically, or any which way, you let them know that they're crossing the line. And you're going to contact the police or pursue a restraining order or all of the above. In 1991, respondent again visited JV's family home. Movement inside the house frightened him away as he was cutting a screen in an attempt to break in. About a week later, he returned to JV's house for a third time. He parked at the end of the driveway and walked up the door with a hunting knife. Girls, right, and men, this happens all the time, even without us knowing. Okay? Although he had intended to break in, he returned to his car. JV's neighbors saw the respondent sitting in the car at the end of the driveway. When the respondent drove away, the neighbor and JV's father followed him. You don't want to get the father involved. The respondents fired 3 pistol shots at their car. One shot hit the windshield, but no one was injured. Respondent remained in the area for a few days, living in his car and fantasizing about killing JV. You know, for all you women out there, me and men, children, everybody, you know, we have a right to get pissed off, okay? And speak our fucking mind, right? However way rude, inappropriate people think we are, we have a right to speak our fucking mind and frustration over that. You know, so many times in life I've met whack jobs like this, right? And I'm making very clear to you the warning signs, right? They go from, oh, fuck me, to fuck you, right? Jekyll and Hyde. They're nuts, in a nutshell. And they need to be exposed, right? So you can see their diseased mind. And then from there, you know what to do about it. He was apprehended by authorities when his car was stuck in a mud, right? But until the authorities come, a lot of crazy individuals like him, criminals, think they're in control, right? I have one Amerasian guy come here. He calls himself a Chief Richavella, and I can tell you he's a chief of nothing. And he essentially, he wanted to push aside my boyfriend to be with me, even though I'm not interested. Since LinkedIn, he made the comment, when we get together. And I said, excuse me? I said, are you asking me or are you telling me? Because I'm not interested in any of it. Well, he attempted to come out here, and I don't allow these kind of idiots, you know, to ever come back. And he was trying to come up with some alibi, you know, that my boyfriend is fake and his profile on LinkedIn is fake. And guess what? I went and told my boyfriend about it. And I will witness that this Chief Richavella is a liar. Okay? If you Google Mark Zito, Homeland Security, my boyfriend is up there on the Google search. There's articles within Homeland Security that quotes him, not this other guy. But the only reason why this other guy did it was for sex. It's all it is. It's all that it is. And he was very malicious and vicious about it. He said he was going to report to LinkedIn that my boyfriend's profile was fake, you know, knowing that might ruin his whole profile and all his friends and what he likes posted on there. And he even went on my boyfriend's LinkedIn and tried to pretend he's his friend. I told my boyfriend about it. Keep an eye on him. He also went on to saying that he would report my boyfriend as a fake federal agent so that he can end up in federal prison, right? And that him and I could be together. All I have to say is hell fucking no. Hell fucking no. And he went on to, how I see if you're going to say something to me, guess what? I guess you don't mind me sharing it with everybody, right? What's the hiding, right? So he went on to telling me when we were together, like the whole entire day, he talked bad about my boyfriend. And that is why I think more good of my boyfriend to this day. He said that, why do you fall in love with such a loser? Well, I can tell you the loser that I'm in love with has a better car than this Asian guy. He has a better home and a better job. And he looks better. And he doesn't smell. And he doesn't talk shit about others to hold his status with me. And my boyfriend is somebody that I not only am sexually interested in, he's somebody that I would marry and honor as my husband and my spouse, right? He is not in comparison or in competition of sickos. So here, let's see here. A search of the car revealed a loaded .38 caliber pistol with extra ammunition, a hunting knife, a roll of duct tape, 3 lengths of rope, 4 tent stakes, a bullwhip, a bottle of Vaseline, a pair of cotton gloves, a pair of latex gloves, a spade, video camera, and tripod, and the video cassette labeled Revenge on JV. All right, folks. Since sickos want their 3 seconds of fame, I'm going to give it to them, okay? So in this case, this sicko was probably had a bottle of Vaseline, right? As a lubricant, right? So what I'm trying to say is a lot of these sickos, sexual predators, they're sexually dysfunctional. That's not our problem, right, folks? That's not anybody's problem. Sorry about the noise upstairs always going on in my video. So let's go on and continue to expose sickos for who they are. Becker County authorities charged the respondent with 2 counts of second-degree assault, to which he pleaded guilty. At respondent's request, a psychiatric examination was performed by Edwin Johnson, MD, and R.P. Escondo, PhD. Respondent told the doctors that he intended to kidnap, rape, and kill JV using the items found in his car. Dr. Johnson and Escondo diagnosed respondent with major depressive disorder, recurrent and avoidant personality disorder with schizotypal features. They also found a serious risk that respondent would commit suicide and moderate risk that he would commit homicidal behavior. He's a 5150 case. In a president's investigation report, a probation officer noted that respondent's emotions seemed flat until he began describing the incident involving JV. He then became excited and appeared to enjoy, recalling the humiliation and fear he inflicted on her and her family. They're sick. They're what I called, right, sicko superstars that want they'll do anything for their 3 seconds of fame. And that's at the top of my list of how you know an individual is sick, right? They think they're a star. They think they're a star, unlike the stars, right, on my channel, which is everybody. And I would say that's the best way to define a crazy individual. They have total lack of consideration for others, right? It's all about themselves. The Becker County District Court sentenced respondent to 72 months on one court count of second-degree assault and stayed a 36-month sentence on the second count on condition that respondent successfully complete a psychological treatment program that will deal with the issues identified by Dr. Johnson and Escondo. In February 1992, respondent entered the Minnesota Correctional Facility. Despite staff recommendation, he refused to participate in any treatment programs, right? And I would say that is a sign of a sick individual. They don't want treatment. And guess what? On defense of the legal justice system, they owed no sympathy for that. For example, Orange County Sheriff, their job is just to be that. They're not there to sympathize with this because that will open themselves up to emotional vulnerability, right? In 1993, respondent began engaging in obsessive behavior towards a female prison guard, JC. Because respondent was perceived to be a risk for suicide, he was assigned to a cell near the guard's desk. When JC was seated at the desk, the respondent often stared at her, okay? Contorting himself into uncomfortable position so he could do so. He continued to stare at her after she confronted him about his conduct. Okay, you women out there, okay, women power, how do you feel about that? When men just stare at you like you're a piece of meat, right? Well, guess what? I would have to say it depends on the stare, right? If someone is staring at somebody, Zito, can you please go pee your poop without making so much noise? Thank you. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Come on. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Cover it up. Cover it up, baby. Good girl. Good baby. Good girl. Good seal. And good girl. Yeah, she's me and her, are fighting whatever caused her the bout of diarrhea. We're fighting like tooth and nails. Remember, because I taught you guys to fight back. Yeah. So what I'm doing now is I'm mixing the better probiotic kibbles with the pate. So it's more balanced, right? It's not too dry. It's not too wet. It'll give them a better bowel movement. And also when you do that, the pate kind of marinates the kibbles and kind of, poofs it up, poofs up the food. So it fills up their belly more so they're not like overeating. So apparently it's working. Like she's not spraying all over the walls. It doesn't smell, right? She's, she looks like she's regaining her strength. But, recently she's been making love mate, cries. She's been out a lot. So, one of my family members, my brother, said she kind of looks pregnant. But that could just mean that she was sick and she lost weight and she's eating better food and she's gaining weight. But, if she does have babies, I'm going to have to, sell them out or adopt them out. I can't keep them, but I'm not going to, what do you even call it? Spay the seals right now. Okay. Because, to me, babies are not a problem. Babies are not a bad thing. Hold on one second. Somebody's crying. Who's crying? Who's crying? Crying, please? Crying. Was Astro was Cupid everybody's in? Okay, that was Bianca crying because my brother left, and I guess she she wanted to go out and play. It's dark, yeah. It's darkness, dangerous out there. We can't have that, can we? Yes. They got their ticket of freedom. So I am starting to let them go outside because they need to exercise as much as they need to eat. But usually I monitor them or I make sure Besita's out there. So now, when they see the door open and we don't let them out to play, they cry. They don't realize it's dark out there. It's dangerous. They're not going to go out there. Time to go to sleep. And, cats are very circadian. So you really, it's good to have habits, the good ones. I don't want them to think, after midnight, I'm going to let them run around in the dark and dangerous places. No. And a lot of that is, my way of educating my kitties. Right? I raise all of my animals to be very smart. Is she adorable? Is she adorable? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. She's my special girl. She's my special girl. Her eyes are still blue. Her eyes are still blue. They're not turning. They're not turning colors. I call her my ice princess. So let's go on and so I was talking about staring, all right? How do you guys feel about somebody just staring at you? Do you think that's a form of stalking? I think so. Especially if they're staring you in such a way that it makes you feel uncomfortable. It makes you feel violated or scared. I think it's a form of stalking. And I get that all the time, when I'm walking down the street. So even though this might not be my stalker, it might be another guy with similar name. It's nice to know that staring at somebody is a form of stalking. He continued to stare at her after she confronted him about his conduct. When JC had respondent moved to a different cell, he stood with his face up against the bars of the cell to stare at her. Respondent often asked JV questions about her personal life, followed her around the cell unit, stood inappropriately close to her, and I can tell you why I'm reading this. Check mark, check mark, check mark. I get that almost every day. Right? So reading this court case is refreshing because it's clearly saying this is stalking. Okay, this isn't right anything else but that. And stared at her body. How many times women, especially women, can relate to me, because I'm pretty sure it happens to men, when you are with a man and they do that, right? You're talking to them, they're just staring at your boobs or your tits, right? Or if they really want to make it obvious, they'll check your rear ends, right? Respondent told another inmate. Okay, remember I told you how it's not directly? Okay, that is a form of unhealthy and communication and suspicion, or like a decoy. Okay, that when he got out of prison, he intended to ask JC to marry him and to kill her if she refused. There you go. The exact DNA, same as he did to the first victim. Same. And he's not going to stop because he's sick. And according to this article, he thinks he's a star. He enjoys it. Alarmed by what the respondent told him, the inmate reported the respondent's remark to the prison staff. JC believed there was a strong possibility that the respondent would pursue her when he got out of prison. After an evaluation by the prison's chief psychologist, respondent voluntarily agreed to participate in the sex offender program at the Minnesota Correctional Facility, Oak Park Heights. Okay? He quit the program before completing it. Okay, can you guys see the warning signs in this if you really read and pay attention as I'm learning in college what to do? He quit. And before that, he refused. Right? So the probability of him repeating his offense is still there. Program staff rated respondent's prognosis as poor, as I'm saying, and he was transferred back to the St. Cloud facility. After only less than a month, he returned. Quit, refused, returned. And on defense of Orange County Sheriff Barnes, this is what Orange County Sheriff Barnes says all the time. And pretty much everybody in Orange County supports Orange County Sheriff Barnes. If you release some criminals during the coronavirus pandemic that have serious, right, offenses, it's not good. They're going to return to doing, right? 3 words here. And what Orange County Sheriff Barnes and everybody in Orange County feared. They're going to return because they're not going to quit. Right? Because they refuse treatment. Okay? So, do we have to have any sympathy for somebody that refuses treatment from stopping from being sick? And that's fine if you want to be sick, but you're making other people suffer. Should the Orange County Sheriff or Sheriff Barnes have sympathy for that? Absolutely not. After less than a month, he returned to Oak Park Heights because of predatory and assaultive behavior. Let's just put it at this point. You know, I was saying the brain is like a tooth, and you will see warning signs and progressions of that. The same thing Orange County Sheriff Barnes is saying. And keep in mind, Orange County Sheriff Barnes, he has been a leader for the sheriff prior police department, according to the things I've read. He has been, of no offense to him, he has been doing law enforcement, you know, as long as I've been alive. He knows what he's talking about, yet it falls on deaf ears. You know, and then, you know, when something happens, guess what? They go call and crying to the sheriff department. That's just ludicrous. I don't care if you're the courts or Congress, that's crazy. It's like, do you want to put a lid on crimes or don't you? Make up your damn mind. Stop playing games. And stop using Orange County Sheriff and Sheriff Barnes and other law enforcement personnel who are being shot up and killed and used as target practice by criminals because of the courts are indecisive in Congress. Because the respondent had failed to complete treatment failed, right, to complete treatment pursuant to the conditions of the stay on his sentence, the Becker County District County executed that sentence, finding that respondent presented a clear and present danger to the public if he was released without treatment, and that the interests of the public safety require him to remain incarcerated. And that's what I was talking about. A determinate sentences now switch to indeterminate for those who are, according to this guy, he has a medical defense, right? Not the legal defense of insanity. Respondent was admitted to the Minnesota Correctional Facility Stillwater, where he again refused to participate in sex treatment. Okay. Therefore, it is total justice to deny release of him. He was transferred to the Prairie Correctional Facility in Appleton, but after he threatened and assaulted a prison staff. And as you see, like a teeth that's not being treated by the dentist, and you see a progressive decay of the teeth, same thing as the brain of a sick individual, and the behaviors as coming out are warning signs, right? These aren't just warning signs. They're striking a prison guard. So imagine what they would do to the general public. He was transferred back to St. Cloud on October 23rd, 1997. Respondent was released to live at his mother's house under intense supervised release, or SISR. In prison, respondent learned that JC had filed a sexual harassment suit against St. Cloud Correctional Facility. Unbeknownst to his ISR agent, respondent twice visited the county court administrator's office to review JC's court files. On 31st December 1997, respondent's ISR agent gave him permission to leave the house to run some errands. Respondent purchased a shotgun, like he did the last time. Right, folks? Returned to the court administrative office and unlawfully took documents from JC's file, including a psychological evaluation of JC. On January 5th, 1998, respondent was apprehended at a home of a friend. Authorities found a can of pepper spray, a steak knife in the respondent's jack pocket, and a loaded shotgun, a pair of handcuffs, and a roll of duct tape in his car. Very similar to the stuff he had the first time. Okay? Inside the friend's home, authorities found the stolen court file documents and 2 lists of names, some of which had home addresses. And for all you women out there, because I know a lot of women, they don't know any better. Never give out your address. Never. Not even your Gmail or number. Because for some men that read sex into everything, and I get a lot of them too, they think it's like first base, second base, third base. They got your numbers, first base. That's the S. You give them the Gmail, right? Now they think they have a personal professional, right? You guys are partners in life. That's an E, right? And once they know your house, that's an X. They see it as, oh yeah, he or she wants to have sex with me, right? On the list included prison officials, judges, attorneys, and others who had been involved with the respondent during the time in the criminal justice systems. Which, by the way, my boyfriend, I'm going to warn you guys, there's an app on the Google app, I believe under his name, that did the same thing. They sold out my boyfriend's information or offered for the general public to buy more into knowing more about him and the people that he works with in Homeland Security. So I'm making it known to everybody. I reported that to my boyfriend and I told him to turn it in to Homeland Security. So apparently it's an app. It's an app. I forget the name. It's one of those apps where they sell out information. But if I look for that app, I'll lose the spot to this article. So I will bring that up in the next video. And others that had been involved with the respondent during the time in the criminal justice system. The other included people with the same last name as JC, who lived near St. Cloud Correctional Facility. Or might I say, these people search apps, they'll do that too. They'll list your name and your family and your relatives and anything they could, right? So be aware of your surrounding and what is out there and what could possibly be, right, involve you. Respondent reported to ISR agent that he initially intended to go after JC and that he has seriously considered killing himself. Okay? He pleaded guilty to the federal charge of being a felon in possession of a firearm and received 52 months. He also pleaded guilty to the state charge of gross misdemeanor interference with property in official custody. The court imposed a 1-year sentence to run concurrent with the federal sentence. So that's good. He has a federal sentence. Over the next 3 years in county jail and federal prison. Right? So these are serious offenses. There's nothing funny about it. Right? Some men think it's funny when they do that to women. Respondent had repeated disciplinary problems and received no psychological or sex offender treatment. He was released from federal prison in December 2001 and taken to the Minnesota Security Hospital. Asylum. His behavior was again out of control. Okay? And that's why in California, they have 3 strikes, right? Because this is like the 3rd time he's out of control. Noted that he remained at high risk for assaultive and dangerous behavior. On December 12, 2001, appellant Anoka County filed a petition to have respondent committed as a sexually dangerous person, or SDP, or as a mentally ill and dangerous to the public. It's called an MIND. Okay? Mental ill and danger. Okay? MID. And there's another word for somebody who's mentally ill and um, deemed unfit to ever possess a gun. Okay, I think it's called mental deficit. The district court appointed forensic psychologist James Giberson's PhD to perform a psychological evaluation of the respondent, and respondent selected forensic psychologist Paul Reitman, who also had a PhD, to perform an evaluation on his behalf. Dr. Giberson concluded that respondent met the statutory requirements for commitment as an SDP, sexually dangerous person. Okay? And I want to stop there, folks. I want you guys to take this seriously because there's a lot out there. More than the courts can catch and identify. Okay? Take this seriously for yourself. On defense of men, women, and children, even animals. And that is how you're going to stop it. But Dr. Reitman concluded that he did not. Trial on the commitment petition lasted from 18th March through the 1st April 2002. On the 30th July 2002, the district court declined to commit the respondent as an SDP, but committed him as an MIND to the MSH. Doctors evaluated the respondent and concluded that he was not properly committed as an MIND because he was not mentally ill. On the 27th November 2002, the district court issued an order declining to commit the respondent as an MIND. Appellant then moved to have the district court 30th July 22 order amended to commit respondent as an SDP again. So as you could see, this individual is causing a lot of trouble for the courts, and it's costly too. They say in court, or they say in jail, it costs more money to keep somebody in jail for life than to just kill them. On the 20th December 2000, the district court denied appellant's motion. Appellant now challenges the district court's decision not to commit respondent as an SDP. Respondent contains that the relevant statutes are unconstitutional as it applies to him. Issues. Did the district err in finding that respondent conduct towards JC was not harmful sexual conduct within the meaning of Minnesota statutes? 2, this is a Q&A for you guys. Did the district court err in concluding that evidence of other possible causes of serious emotional harm refuted? Presumption of a substantial likelihood that JC, a victim of respondent stalking harassment, suffered physical harm or emotional danger, physical or emotional harm. And 3, did the district court err in determining that the record does not support a conclusion that the respondent cannot adequately control his sexual impulse and behavior? I already have an answer to that one. No. If he can refuse treatment, he has some level of choice and control, okay, to his sexual inappropriateness. Number 4, is Minnesota statute constitutional as applied to respondent? Analysis. 1, harmful conduct. According to Minnesota statute, sexually dangerous persons means a person who has engaged a course of harmful sexual conduct as defined in subdivision. Provides that A, Harmful sexual conduct means sexual conduct that creates a substantial likelihood of serious physical or emotional harm to another. B. There is a beautiful presumption that certain conduct creates a substantial likelihood that a victim will suffer serious physical or emotional harm if the conduct was motivated by the person's sexual impulses. The district court based its determination that respondent is not a sexually dangerous person in part on his conclusion that he did not engage in harmful sexual conduct with respect to JC in 1997 and 98. But she is in jail, so there's not much he could do, right? A district court's conclusion regarding whether the record supports by clear and convincing evidence the requirements of the SDP statutes are questions of law that we review de novo. In Restraining 544, it looks like some case vacated on the grounds. The district court concluded that respondent's behavior towards JC after he was released from prison in 1997 was not harmful sexual conduct within the meaning of, right, Minnesota statute. Oh, beautiful girl. She makes little noise like a bird. Alrighty, and it said because it was motivated by revenge, not by sexual impulse. Right? But the records show that respondent violated the terms of supervised release, took court documents related to JC's sexual harassment case from administrator's office, and was apprehended. Possession of a shotgun, handcuffs, duct tape, mace, and a steak knife. I don't like that one bit, folks, because you know what? I don't know about other women, but that's how most men look at me, right? You know what? It's sickening. It's sickening. Moreover, respondent professed to Dr. Reitman in 1998 that he was still sexually attracted to JC and that he fantasized about her. Dr. Reitman testified that respondent's behavior towards JC in 1997 closely mirrored his conduct towards JV in 1999. Dr. Reitman and Gilbertson both concluded that respondent's behavior towards JC after he left prison in 1997 was motivated by sexual impulses. Respondent has a documented history beginning with his behavior towards JV and continued through various female correctional officers of sexual obsession towards women. Accordingly, we conclude that respondent's conduct towards JC when he was released from prison in 1997 was motivated by sexual impulses, as found by both experts. Presumptions of likelihood of serious emotional harm provides. Hey, loco, stop it. I must spray you. I'll spray you. There is a beautiful presumption that certain conducts could create a substantial likelihood that a victim will suffer serious physical or emotional harm. If the conduct was motivated by the person's sexual impulse or what was part of a pattern, you see how she's eating? They eat my necklace. They have good taste, like me. Sexual conduct as a goal. Um, the presumption also applied. Oh, she just bit me in the neck. Conduct described section, harassment and stalking. The district court found that respondent conduct towards JC. I'm going to go this way so you guys can see what she's doing. You like my necklace? Is it nice? Is it a nice necklace? Got your approval? The district court found that respondent's conduct towards JC while he was at St. Cloud Correctional Facility was harassing and stalking, but concluded that the statutory presumption was refuted by the fact that it was impossible to tell whether JC emotional harm was caused by respondent or by the hostile work environment that existed at the facility. You know what? That's generalizing. Obviously, she was affected by the respondent and the job, but more so the respondent. Our examination of the evidence leaves no doubt that the respondent's actions towards JC when he was in prison created a substantial likelihood of serious emotional harm to her. The incident reports she filed regarding his conduct show that he systemically and continually harassing her, and his harassment left her seriously emotionally upset and fearing for her life. Okay. And I might have to interject. In psychology, they always say we have to honor what somebody feels. Okay. This is how she feels. So for the courts to kind of shrug it off, it is, to me, I think that's uncalled for. We note, okay, presumption is not that a victim actually suffers serious emotional harm as a result of defendant's conduct. It is that the conduct creates a substantial likelihood of serious emotional harm. Here, respondent's conduct not only created a substantial likelihood of a serious emotional harm, his conduct actually inflicted such harm on JC, thereby surpassing the statutory presumption. On this record, we conclude that the fact that JC may have simultaneously have been subjected to sexual harassment from co-worker is insufficient to overcome the presumption that respondent's conduct was harmful sexual conduct within the meaning. So what they're saying is that she might have been hypervigilant to sexual harassment, right, due to her job and maybe getting it from her coworkers. She's fed up. But that's besides the point, right? We're talking about not her, but him, and protecting the public ability to control sexual impulses or behavior. The sexually dangerous person, or SDP, requires finding that a person lacks some control over his or her sexually dangerous actions. The SDP Act allows civil commitments of sexually dangerous persons who have engaged in prior course of sexually harmful behavior and whose present disorder or dysfunction does not allow them to adequately control their sexual impulses. Okay? An appellate court determine whether a commitment is supported by clear and convincing evidence. Review whether lack of adequate control over sexually harmful behavior was established by clear and convincing evidence. The district court concluded that the record did not demonstrate by clear and convincing evidence that the respondent could not adequately control his sexual behavior. He denied treatment. Okay. The evidence provided by both Dr. Giberson and Reitman was that the respondent suffered from adult antisocial behavior and a personality disorder not otherwise specified, with paranoid, okay, narcissistic, and antisocial traits. You get a lot of men like that in life. Right? I know you want me. I'm so good looking. Give you a good time, right? Um, Dr. Reitman testified that respondent's psychological disorders affected his ability to control his harmful sexual behavior, stalking type behavior, and quantified the inability to control about 50%. Dr. Reitman also testified that impulsivity and inability to defer acting out are characteristic of responsive personality disorder. Dr. Gilbertson testified the respondent's psychological disorder affect his ability to control his harmful sexual behavior and stated that respondents lacked adequate control over his ability to refrain from engaging in harmful sexual behavior. And might I say again and again, he refused to choose treatment. A review of respondent's sexual behavior since 1991 supports the expert's opinion that respondent cannot adequately control his sexual impulses. Okay? He broke into the victim's home repeatedly after planning and equipping himself to abduct, rape, and murder her. He stalked and harassed a female guard at the facility where he was incarcerated, and he told another inmate that he would kill the guard if she refused to marry him. So in other words, fuck me or fuck you. Right? These are the words of a fucked up person. He later bought a shotgun, stole court documents related to the guard, and compiled a list of people with the guard's last name who lived near the facility. He has continued to engage in harassing, violent, and threatening behavior to females in the correctional facility in MSH. Again, we conclude that the evidence here compels the finding that respondent's personality disorder does not allow him to adequately control his sexual impulses and behavior. The SDP Act allows civil commitment of sexually dangerous persons beyond a registered sexual offender whose present disorder or dysfunction does not allow them to adequately control their sexual impulse, making it highly likely they will engage in harmful sexual acts in the future. But being part of the sexual predator registry is no fun either. Because I heard they limit where they can go, where they can live, who they could be around, and that's why most of them are homeless. Homeless, because pretty much all options has been taken away. Having concluded respondent did not lack adequate control of his sexual impulse, the district court did not determine the likeliness of his engagement in harmful sexual assaults in the future. In light of our decision to the contrary, we remain to the district court to determine the likelihood of the respondent's future harmful sexual conduct. Constitutionality of SDP acts as applied to the respondent. Respondent argues that if the court concludes he is a subject to commitment, it's unconstitutional as applied to him because it is void for vagueness and because it violates substantial due process, procedural due process, jeopardy, and equal protection. Hey, guess what? That's what he did to his victims, right? That's what he did. He denied of his female victims too. We see no merit in these claims, right? Courts should exercise extreme caution before declaring a statute void for vagueness. Respondent argues that the phrase harmful sexual conduct is vague because in his case it applies to non-sexual conduct. Okay? He claimed that he is being committed as a sexually dangerous person when he has not been convicted of any sexual offense. Yet, might I say. But the respondent pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree assault and admitted that his goal is in assaulting. JV was to commit criminal sexual conduct by raping her. We conclude the phrase harmful sexual conduct is not vague as applied to respondent. Respondent's substantial due process argument was explicitly addressed by Minnesota Supreme Court. States have compelling interests in both protecting the public from sexual violence and rehabilitating the mentally ill. The issue is whether the SDP Act is narrowly tailored to meet these interests. We held in Linehan that the newly enacted SDP Act did not require proof that the proposed patient had an inability to control his or her sexual impulse in order to uphold civil commitment. And that's the point. And to reiterate what I learned at Santa Ana College. Okay? It's something what criminals, sexual offender, think about. That in the courts, they kidnap you. They kidnap you. Okay? Think about modus operandi. What was their motive, right? That provokes them to carry out an act. Okay? Prior, the courts had to have both, right? Now they don't. They can have one. So in this case, even though he actually did not carry out the act and was successful, he self-indicted himself. His motive, the motive was there. And based on current law, that's enough. That's sufficient evidence to uphold civil law and order. Okay? This provision should be read very narrowly to mean only that the state does not need to prove that a person meets the utter inability standard. Okay? Such a reading harmonizes all parts of the statute and acknowledges the legislator intent to abandon the utter lack control tests required for commitment under prior act, while ensuring that the statute is narrowly tailored. Citations and quotations omitted, we conclude that the SCP Act does not violate substantial due process, nor does it violate procedural due process. It is out to protect the community, especially the children. Right? Those that cannot protect themselves. Respondent argues that he is entitled to due process. And that's where he erred. He's entitled to nothing. And what he did, how he viewed the women and what he did to these women. He is entitled to due process on the criminal sexual conduct charges before he is committed on the basis of those charges. But the basis for the respondent's commitment is that upon his own guilty pleas, right, he was convicted of 2 counts of assault in second degree. Both assaults being motivated by the goals of committing acts of criminal sexual conduct. Okay? Rebuttal presumption that assault The second degree. If motivated by sexual impulses are part of a pattern of behavior that has criminal sexual conduct as its goal, creates a substantial likelihood that a victim will suffer serious physical or emotional harm, is therefore harmful sexual conduct. We conclude that the respondent received due process on the assault charges. His right to procedure process has not been violated. He clearly violated women. Finally, respondent argues that his commitment under the STP Act violates double jeopardy and equal protection. Double jeopardy is being charged twice for the same crime, which he was doing, right? The Minnesota Supreme Court addressed both arguments, vacated on other grounds. Protection against double jeopardies are not implicated by the STP Act because the purpose of the commitment under the STP Act is treatment and not punishment. The STP Act classifies a sexual dangerous person as justified by the reasonable connection between proposed patient's mental disorder and the state's interest in public protection and treatment. Decision, we reverse the district court's determination that precluded respondent's commitment under the STP Act and remain for the district court to determine the remaining issue of whether it is highly likely that the respondent will engage in future harmful sexual conduct. The district court may, in its discretion, reopen the record, and we also conclude that none of the respondent constitutional challenges to the STP Act has any merits, right? Nor the other stuff that he did, right? I wanted to comb Bianca's hair. Her hair is very flyaway. She's got these adorable she's got these adorable little white hairs that stands up. And these detangler combs are perfect. They're perfect and they're gentle on your pets, right? Cuter, less expensive than pet combs. And pets, they love, right? If you do it in a nice way, they love it. They love it. They love it because it mimics the spikes on the tongue of a cat. They love it. If you do it in a nice manner, they love it. Yeah, you love it. You love it. Mm-hmm. She has these cute little white hairs that stick up. Kind of, you know how your hairs stand on end? And they have like it's super white and it kind of shines. Can you hear her purring? Can you hear her purring? She likes it. See these little things on here? It's like the cat's tongue, they like it. Anything that mimics the mom of a cat, they like it. She doesn't have loose hair, but they're definitely fly away. Nothing's on the comb, but they're definitely fly away. She really is loving this. Like that, huh? Mm-hmm. How about it on your head? How about on this side? Hmm? She loves it. How about your arm? Can I do your arm? How about your neck? How about your head? Can I do your head? How about your stomach? How about your tail? You want me to do your tail? Hmm? She loves it. Yeah, she loves it. I want to do her head and her other side and her belly. You know, once she trusts me more. Once she trusts me more, huh? Let me do your stomach. Oh my goodness. Oh, let's do your tummy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She's so cute. Let's do your tummy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, let's do that tummy. Oh my goodness. She's so darn cute. Let's do your tummy. Let's do the side. Let's do the side. Let's do your legs. Let's do your legs. How about your tails? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. How about the back of your neck right here? How about the back of your neck? Oh, that feels good. That feels good. Yeah. Oh, that feels good. Hmm? You can see some of her hair coming off. That feels good. If you want a deeper combing, go vertical. Horizontal is more like superficial. You want to go deeper, you go vertical. Oh, you like that? You like that? Boy. Oh boy. That feel good? I feel good. Yeah. And let me do your tummy someday, huh? Your tummy, your head. Mm-hmm. Like that. Yeah. Like that. Oh. How about I do your stomach again? Do your stomach. I want to try to do her stomach because she's got a lot of flyaway hair. Let me do your stomach. Oh my goodness. Right. All right. Yeah. Oh, you did that stomach of yours. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, she's loving this. You're a good girl. You're a good girl. Oh, yeah. She's so adorable. How about the back of your head? How about that? How about? Can I do your head? Let me do your head. Look at, let me see all this hair come off. Let's do the back of her head. Let me do the back of your head. How about under your armpit? Can I do under your armpit? How about, can I do your chest? Hmm? Can I do your chest? How about right here? Can I do right here? How about the back of your neck? How about right here? Right here? Right here? How about right here? Right here? Right here? How about right here? How about your head? How about right here? Oh my goodness. How about right here? How about right here? Oh yes. Now she's letting me do a little bit in here. Hmm? A little bit by her ears. Oh, cats love it. Being scratched behind the ears. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. How about behind this ear? How about this behind this ear? Oh boy. How about under the armpits? Oh boy. Let's show YouTube how beautiful you are now. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Look at you, beautiful girl. All combed out. To show you too how beautiful you are. Oh. Look at that. Look at how beautiful you are now, Bree. How about the front? How about the front? Oh my goodness. That belly hair looks really combed out, Bianca. See how beautiful you are? Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's gonna have beautiful white furs. Okay, down you go, baby. You can see the hair on the comb. So it's coming off. This is her hair. So with cats, it's good to keep up combing them because I've seen my friends' cats, their furs get all knotted up, and it's not a good thing. So let's wrap up reading this article. Okay, both parties filed appeals, which was consolidated by the court's order. The initial petition was filed on the 12th December 2001, was dismissed without prejudice on the 5th March 2002 for failure to comply with statutory time periods. Appellant refiled a nearly identical petition later that day. In view of its holding, the district court did not address the constitutionality of SDP Act because the parties presented and briefed the constitutional issue for this appeal. We review them in the interest of justice, just as I am doing. So essentially, the time I took, the 2 hours and 3 minutes I took to read that article, right, is 2 hours and 3 minutes. That somebody out there cannot commit a sex crime. Okay? I rest my case.